Hello everyone, how are you all doing? Hello Blossomy Lamb, hello Neelock, great to see you! Hope you're doing good, hope you're having a good time! Yeah. I completed Pokemon Legends today. Not like Shiny Charm level completion, but like, I've caught all the Pokemon, I've caught Arceus, I've completed every like side quest, and I am really, very happy with how much I've done. But yeah, I am super excited for this. Yeah, like, hello Non, yeah, like, this is the first time I've, like, completed a Pokedex, like, period since Pokemon Platinum, and the first time I've, like, completed a Pokedex, like, original dex ever, and I am just super proud of myself, yeah. Hello Neelock, hope your internet's doing well. Yeah, I'm just really happy. Pokemon Legends is such a good and fun game. I've enjoyed it so much, and I've managed to, like, get it to, like, the point where I've completed it further than I've completed any Pokemon game before, and I'm just really proud of myself because ADHD makes stuff like that hard. Yeah. Tonight I am gonna be learning more Rust. We are gonna be starting out with shared state concurrency, which is gonna be pretty cool and neat. Yeah. Just overall, I am really happy with, like, how stuff is going, and I am super excited for tonight. There is, like, one thing that I wish there's one thing that I wish I had right now, which is my Arceus plushie, which was supposed to arrive today, but is now arriving tomorrow instead, and I'm salty. Oh well, I'll deal with it. Yeah, how about we just get going? Let's start off with Rust! Boom. Okay, so, last time we...
Excite. Hope everyone is having a good time. I'm excited for more Rust.
Yeah, thank you Neelock for subscribing at Tier 1 for 11 months now. Wow! Great having you here. Yeah, last time we went through all the stuff in Smart Pointers and then got partway through Concurrency. Today we are going to be learning Shared State Concurrency, Sync and Send Extensible Concurrency, and then hopefully we're going to get on to Object-Oriented Programming features. Should be fun. Let's get going. Message passing is a fine way of handling concurrency, but it's not the only one. Consider this part of the slogan from the Go language docs again. Do not communicate by sharing memory. But what would communicating by sharing memory look like? In addition, why would message passing enthusiasts not use it and do the opposite instead? Yeah, in a way, channels in any programming language are similar to a single ownership, because once you transfer value down a channel, you should no longer use it. Shared memory concurrency is like multiple ownership. Multiple threads can access the same memory location at the same time. As you saw in Chapter 15, where Smart Pointers made multiple ownership possible, multiple ownership can add complexity because these different owners need managing. Rust-type system and ownership rules greatly assist in getting this management correct. For example, let's look at mutexes, one of the most common concurrency primitives for shared memory. Yeah, next time. Hello, Maddie Makes Games. Great to see ya. Alright. Mutex is an abbreviation for mutual exclusion. Only one thread to access some data at any given time. Yep, locks and such. Thread must first signal that it wants to access by asking to acquire the lock. Lock's the data structure part of the mutex. Track who access, yep. Guarding the data. Mutexes have a reputation for being difficult to use because you have to remember two rules. must attempt to require the lock before using the data. When you're done with the data that the mutex guards, you must unlock the data so other threads can acquire the lock. This makes absolutely no sense to me. Basically, it is like, how can we do multiple things at once without everything tripping over itself all the time? I once made a yes or no text-based game and that had 2 options, then the game ends. Pretty much, yeah, Yeah, basically, for an example of, like, what we're thinking about here is, like, for example, a Google Doc. Like, let's say, like, you've got, like, a bunch of different people trying to edit a Google Doc at once, all working together. How do you make sure that their edits don't accidentally fuck up someone else's edits? That's basically what we're worried about here. Yep. Metaphor, yep. Or a panel discussion with only one mic, something like that, yep. They can talk for as long as they want, then hand off. Panelist forgets to hand the microphone off. No one would be able to speak. If management of shared microphone goes wrong, panel won't work as planned. Management of mutexes can be incredibly tricky to get right, which is why so many people are enthusiastic about channels. However, thanks to Rust's type system and ownership rules, can't get locking and unlocking wrong. Yay! So, let's get going. Check this out. X. So let mutex new 5 in a block. Let block unwrap deref num 6 and M. Alright. Then, let's just run it. I typed n equals in the... Yep. Mutex data 6, poison false. Yay! Looks good. Yep. Mutex C using associated function new. Use lock method to acquire the lock. This will block the current thread so it can't do any work until it's our turn. Now, probably wouldn't say it's impossible to get mutex locking and unlocking wrong. It's just easier to do it right than in most languages. Yeah. Yeah, just like, easier is the best you can ask for. Yep. Yeah, use lock to acquire. This will block the current thread so it can't do any work until it's our turn to have the lock. Well, the lock would fail if another thread holding the lock panicked. No one would ever be able to get the lock, so we've chosen to unwrap and have the thread panic. Typically, messing up locking is when you're using unsafe or when in conjunction with multiple mutexes or other concurrent data structures. Yeah. Yeah, if you're using unsafe stuff, then you need to be careful. That's what unsafe's about. Like, knives are unsafe, that just means you have to be careful with them, not that you shouldn't use them. Yeah. Yep, we create the return value as mutable ref. Yep. Type system ensures we acquire the lock. Yep. Yep. It's a smart pointer. Or at least the lock returns a mutex card wrapped in a lock result, which is a smart pointer. That's why we can deref it, and then at the end of this block, in the drop function, it relocks it, which is cool. Faces. Huh. Yeah, that's really cool. Hooray. Yeah. Yeah. Smart pointers are cool, and like having drop logic like that is really good. After dropping lock, we can print the mutex value, so we're able to change NRI 32 to 6. Yep. Now, we can start doing this. Don't think you need the explicit deref there also, but it's been a bit since I've used a mutex, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they were using like an explicit one in code, so I just did that. If I take that away, yeah, that does want a deref op there. Alright, so then we can do this, so let's get standard red. By the way, game is still set to... No! What? Why? That hasn't been... I swear I hit the, like, the update button. Oh well. There now, thank you, yeah. Guess I'm wrong, yeah. It's all good, Maddie. Yeah, thank you for letting me know, Non. Yeah, I guess it just didn't, like, set the title or... Yeah, like, I could have sworn I hit, like, the done button, but yeah, there. Thank you! So, let counter mutex, new O, let mute handle deck, or blank in O, O10, not 190. Thread on move up. Let lock wrap or num plus equal 1. This feels... Yeah, this doesn't feel legal. Yeah, like, because this is like moving the trying to move the counter into every single thread, which, don't do that. Probably a good idea. Probably a really bad idea for handle in handle join wrap and println result counter block wrap. This is illegal. Yep. This would try and move it into every single loop. Or into every single one. That's not okay. One of the reasons you're learning Rust to do stuff with Hypercosm? Not like specifically, just like I want to learn Rust. It's really cool and interesting language and neat. Yeah, like, it's a cool language, and like, even if I'm not going to use it for Hypercosm, which hopefully, yeah, hopefully Dakin will have like the time and mental health to do stuff with that more soon, but yeah. Right, yep, so 10 threads, yep. Then we'll go to scope, yep. We collect all the join handles, then join on each handle to make sure they're finished. At that point, the main thread will acquire the lock and... But we are trying to move it all, yeah. Pretty excited for Hypercosm, though, yeah. It is definitely cool and exciting, just like... It's gonna take a lot of work. It's a marathon, not a sprint, but yeah. I just also don't, like, know nearly enough, like, lower level stuff to be able to do it. Yep. Yep. Let's fix compiler error, yep, with multiple ownership, so we're gonna use standard RC up and set. This is still not quite legal because RC is not thread safe. Ah. Send is not implemented for RC. Yep. Talk about send next, but yeah. Not safe to share across threads. Doesn't use any concurrency primitives to make sure they can't be interrupted, so yeah. That's bad, so we're gonna use ARC! Atomic reference counting. Oh, that's not where. Oh, it's in sync. And up, 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 ba, up, ba. Good. Yay! All good. Atomically referenced kind of type, yep. Additional kind of concurrency primitive. I don't know what the fuck atomics are. I can take a look at that. So yeah. Good memory communication, yep. Building blocks of other types. Yep. Each method takes ordering, which represents strength of memory barrier. Okay, yeah. C++ atomic order. Oh, okay, so there's... Oh! Okay, so it's in Rustonomicon, okay. Blatantly just inherit some memory model for atomics from +20. Yep. Yep. Pragmatic concession, the fact that everyone's pretty bad at modeling atomics. We benefit from existing tooling and research, yeah. You just copy C++ model, C++ in the first half model received some bug fixes, yeah. Atomics, yeah, yeah. Trying to fully explain the model in this book is fairly hopeless. Yeah. It's defined in terms of madness-inducing causality graphs that require a full book to properly understand. Okay. Got it. Fun. I like atomics, yeah. You know, like, atomics are like a good and important thing, just like, they're messy and they're very hard to implement correctly. Yeah, like, only thing got me to even slightly understand atomics in its 2.5 hours. Oh boy! Oh, that sounds delicious. I'm gonna like just like my main browser tab for later. Yeah, sounds great. Alright, yeah, I honestly love like super in-depth complex explanations for complex topics. Yeah. Hardware alright, no, that's the rest of Nomicon atomic stuff, okay. I'll figure I probably don't need to worry about it much, but I should probably research it at some point. John Youngstat is pretty good at explaining things. Released a physical book on Rust recently. Neat. Yeah. Might then wonder why all primitives aren't atomic and why standard libtypes aren't implemented to use ARC by default. Thread safety comes with a performance penalty that you only want to pay when you really need to, yep. If you're just performing ops on values within a single thread, it'll run faster if it doesn't have to enforce guarantees from atomics. Yep. Same API, so we can just change it to ARC. You're legal. Yes! Woo! Hooray! Counting from 0 to 10. Did teach us a lot about mutex and thread safety. Yep. Yep. More complicated operation. Yep. Ooh. I'm gonna be right back. Just need to grab a tissue. Feeling, yeah, like, I've got, like, chronic congestion, and it's just a bit worse today, so I will be right back. Hooray! The ability to breathe again. Woohoo! Ah. Alright, back to this. My nose counter is mutable. It could get a mutable ref to the value inside it. That means it provides interior mutability. Yay! Breathing's pretty cool, yeah. Chapter 15. Yep. Same way you use ref cell to allow us to mutate contents inside RC. Yep. Mutex mutate contents inside of an arc. Yay. Rust can't protect you from all kinds of logic errors when you use mutex. Using RC came with the risk of creating reference cycles. Be careful. You can have deadlocks here. When these occur when an operation needs to lock two resources and two threads of each acquired one of the locks, causing them to wait for each other forever. Yep. There are some mitigations, but yeah. Alright, then send and sync. Interesting, Rust has very few concurrency features. Almost every concurrency feature we've talked about so far has been part of the standard lib, not the language. The options for handling concurrency are not limited to the language or the standard lib. You can write your own concurrency features or use those written by others. And so we've got sync and send. Alright, so send indicates ownership of values of the type implemented. Send can be transferred between threads. Almost every Rust type is send, but there are some exceptions, including RC. Yep. Both threads might update reference count at the same time, so implemented for use in single thread situations. Rust type system and trait bounds ensure you can never accidentally send an RC across threads unsafely. Yep, got the error. Switch to arc, which is send, yep. Ah. Any type composed entirely of send values is automatically marked as send as well. Also, primitive types are send aside from raw pointers, which we'll discuss in a few chapters. Once we get, like, all the way down there, but yeah. And sync means it's safe to be referenced from multiple threads. The reference can be sent safely, yep. Also not for the same reason, not send. Yep, ref cell and cell not sync, okay, yep. That was a big sneeze. Bar checking ref cell doesn't in runtime not thread safe, but Mutex is sync, yeah. Then implementing send and sync manually is unsafe. They don't even have any methods to implement. They're just useful for informing invariants. Yeah. Manually implementing involves writing unsafe Rust code, which we'll talk about in Chapter 19. Building new concurrent types not made out of send and sync requires careful thought to uphold safety guarantees. Yep. So we've got the Rustonomicon for that. This isn't the last of concurrency. You'll see of concurrency in this book. Project in Chapter 20 will use the concepts in this chapter in a more realistic situation than the smaller example discussed here. As mentioned earlier, because very little of how Rust handles concurrency is part of the language, many concurrency solutions are implemented as crates. These evolve more quickly than standard lib, so be sure to search online for the current state-of-the-art crates to use in multi-threaded situations. Rust standard lib provides channels for message passing and smart pointer types that are safe to use in context. Type system and bar checker ensure that code using these solutions won't end up with data races or invalid refs. Once you get your code to compile, you can rest assured that it'll happily run on multiple threads without the kind of hard to track down bugs common in other languages. Concurrent programming is no longer a concept to be afraid of. Go forth and make your programs concurrent fearlessly. Next, we'll talk about idiomatic ways to model problems and structure solutions as your Rust programs get bigger. In addition, we'll discuss how Rust idioms relate to those you might be familiar with from OO programming. Alright, well, who's ready to orient some objects? OOP is a way of modeling programs. Objects came from Simula in the 1960s. Those influenced Alan Kay's programming architecture in in which objects pass messages to each other. He coined the term object-oriented programming in 1967. Many competing definitions describe what OOP is. Some definitions would classify Rust as OO, but others would not. In this chapter, we'll explore certain characteristics that are commonly considered OO and how those characteristics translate to idiomatic Rust. Then we'll show you how to implement an OO design pattern in Rust and discuss the trade-offs of doing so versus implementing solution using some of Rust's strengths instead. Let's go. Yep. Alright, so, few things. Yeah, no consensus about what features make OO, but there are a few things. Yeah, so, OO languages share certain common characteristics, namely objects, encapsulation, and inheritance. Objects contain data and behavior, yep. OO programs are made up of objects, and object packages both data and the procedures that operate on that data. Procedures are typically called methods or operations. We call them AFs, yeah. Using this def, Rust is OO. Structs and enums have data, and impl blocks provide methods on structs and enums. Even though structs and enums with methods aren't called objects, they provide the same functionality, according to the Gang of Four's definition. Alright, then encapsulation means that impl details of an object aren't accessible to code using that object. Only way to interact with an object is through its public API. Code using the object shouldn't be able to reach into the object's internals and change data or behavior directly. This enables the programmer to change and refactor an object's internals without needing to change the code that uses it. Yep, we do that with pub and everything, yep. Default everything's private. Got all that jazz, so yep. These are like private list veci 30, or these are private veci 32 and F64. Mark pub so other code can use it, but the fields within the struct remain private. It's important in this case because we want to ensure that whenever values added or removed from the list, the average is also updated. We do this by implementing add, remove, and average. Yep. Looks good. Yeah. Yep. Only ways to access or modify data in an instance of average collection. Yep. Impls of each call the private update average method. Yeah. Makes sense, makes sense. Kind of like what you do with Java. Because we've encapsulated the impl details of the struct, we can easily change aspects such as data structure in the future. We could use a hash set instead of a vec if we wanted. Yep. As long as the signatures of add, remove, and average say the same code, using average collection wouldn't need to change. Yep. If we made list public instead, this wouldn't necessarily be the case. Hash set, I32 and vec I32 have different methods for adding and removing, so the external code would... External code would likely have to change if we were modifying lists directly. Encapsulation is required, yet if encapsulation is required for a language to be OO, then Rust meets that requirement. Yep. Option to use pub or not for different parts of code enables encapsulation of impl details. Alright. And inheritance. Object can inherit from another object's def, gaining parent object's data behavior. Language must have inheritance to be OO, then Rust is not one. There is no way to define a struct that inherits the parent struct's fields and method impls. However, if you're used to having inheritance in your programming toolbox, you can use other solutions in Rust depending on your reason for reaching for inheritance in the first place. Two main reasons. One is reuse of code. You can implement particular behavior for one type, and inheritance enables you to reuse that impl for a different type. Share Rust code using the default trait method implementations instead, so like we saw summarize on summary yet. Any type implementing summary would have summarize available on it without any further code. This is similar to parent class having an impl of a method and an inheriting child class also having the impl of the method. You can also override the default impl when we impl summary, which is similar to a child class overriding the impl of a method inherited from a parent class. The other reason to be, to use inheritance is polymorphism. enabling a child type to be used in the same places as the parent type. Many people, polymorphism is synonymous with inheritance, but it's actually more of a general concept that refers to code that can work with data of multiple types. For inheritance, those types are generally subclasses. Rust instead uses generics to abstract over different possible types and trait bounds to impose constraints on what those types must provide. This is called bounded parametric polymorphism. Inheritance has recently fallen out of favor as a programming design solution because often at risk of sharing more code than necessary. Subclasses shouldn't always share all characteristics of their parent classes, but will do so with inheritance. This can make a design less flexible, possibility of calling methods on subclasses that don't make sense or cause errors, yep. There's some weird stuff you gotta do with Java for that to work, but yeah. Some languages will only allow subclass to inherit from one class, further restricting flexibility. Instead, we use trait objects. Let's take a look. Yep. One limitation of vectors is they can store elements of only one type. Created a workaround where it defined a spreadsheet cell that had variance to hold integers, floats, and text. Could store different types of data in each cell instead of a vector that represented a row of cells. Perfectly good solution when our interchangeable items are a fixed set of types that we know when our code's compiled. Amount of pain I've gone because I use trait objects when I shouldn't have. Fun, yeah. Sometimes we want our library user to be able to extend the set of types that are valid in a particular situation. To show how we might achieve this, we'll create an example GUI that iterates through a list of items, calling a draw method on each one to draw it to the screen. Yep. We'll create a library crate called GUI that contains the structure of a GUI lib. This crate might include some types for people to use, such as button or text field. GUI users will want to create their own types that can be drawn. Yep. Might add an image, another might add a select box. We'll implement a fully fledged GUI lib for this, but we'll show the pieces would fit together. At the time of writing, we can't know and define all the types other programmers might want to create, but we do know that GUI needs to keep track of many values of different types, and it needs to call a draw method on each of the differently typed values. It doesn't need to know exactly what will happen when we call draw, just that the value will have that method available. Yep. With inheritance, we define a class name component with method draw, and other classes such as button, image, select box. We'd inherit from component that's inherit draw. Could override draw method to define custom behavior, but framework could treat all the types as if they were component and call draw. But because Rust doesn't have inheritance, we'll need another way to structure the lib to allow it to send it with new types. Well, we got traits for that. So, yep, with one method named draw. Then we can define a vector that takes a trait object. Trait object points to both an instance of a type implementing our specified trait, as well as a table used to look up trait methods on that type at runtime. Whee! Create a trait object by specifying some sort of pointer, such as an n reference or box smart pointer. Then din, specifying the relevant trait. Talk about the reason traits must use a pointer in chapter 19 for dynamically sized types and size trait. We can use trait objects in place of a generic or concrete type. Whenever we use the trait object, Rust type system will ensure at compile time any values in context will implement trait object's trait. You don't need to know all the possible types at compile time. Alright. So, yep. Refrain from calling structs and enums objects to distinguish them from other languages' objects. In a struct or enum, the data and struct and behavior and impl are separated, whereas in other languages, data and behavior combined into one concept is also labeled as an object. Yep. However, trait objects are more like objects in other languages in the sense they combine data and behavior. But trait objects differ from traditional objects in that we can't add data to a trait object. They aren't as generally useful as objects. Their specific purpose is to allow abstraction across common behavior. Right, so let's head over to librs. Gonna clean out some of this old code, like the refcell stuff. Still really happy with like the cacher stuff I did, but you know, I think I'm gonna clear it out. I am happy I managed to get all that working, but yeah. Beep. Alright. Pub, trait, draw, undraw, and self. There. And we can have a pub struct screen, pub component spec box in draw. Alright, so what I'm telling you is trait objects are important when you're saving to a variable, but not as important when, like, dealing with a method or associated function. Just a function in general. Right? Then we can import screen, pub, run self, or component, in self iter. Don't want standard path component, sorry. Not pun, pub. Right. Component draw. Alright. Yep, restricts us to a screen instance, has a list of components of all type button or all of type text field. Yep. Yeah. Oh wait, no, we're talking different from defining a struct using generic type parameter with trait bounds. Yeah. Box didn't draw basically just means, hey, you've got to have all of them. Yeah, you've got to have like a box, and they can be whatever instead of just specifically one. It doesn't matter when you're like calling like where t draw, because you know, like if you have like a function where you're passing it in, it doesn't matter as much. But yeah, I believe at least. Yeah, I haven't like seen someone use like boxed in like in a function def, but yeah. You'll only ever have homogeneous collections using generics and trait bounds is preferable, because defs will be monomorphized at compile time to use concrete types. But with method using trait objects, one screen can hold a vect that contains a box button as well as a box text field. Yep. Yeah. Now we'll add some types that implement draw. Provide button type again, so yeah. Obstruct button, pub width 232, pub height, pub string, full draw for button, draw self, self, and self. We can just print drawing button, hit 8, label done, and up, width 8, label self. There. Something like that. Yay. That's legal. Alright, yep. Differ from fields on other comps, such as text field. Might have those fields plus placeholder. Each of the types we want to draw will implement draw, but we'll use different code to define how to draw that type, as button as here. Button, for instance, might have an additional impl block containing methods related to what happens when user clicks. These kinds of methods won't apply to types like text field. Okay. Someone using our library decides to implement a select box that has width, height, and options. They implement draw yet, so yeah. So then you can pull this over here, just like in another class, but because encapsulation thing. We draw, construct, select box. Oh wait, no. Right. Right. These should go in mod goo. Then I can just call these. Yeah. Yeah. Oh well. I'm not sure. No, it gotta be pub mod, right? Pub mod goo. You good? Russ, hello. Alright, that's better. Ah. Alright, then. Yep. Now we can have like us. Yeah. Width. 232. Height. Option. Select string. And impulse draw for select box. Then draw self. And I can drawing select box width option self width self height self option. Not self comma, self dot. Hooray, shaky hand. Alright, so yeah. Capital D. Yay! Yep. No. Yep, so. Button. Green. Okay. Let's deck box select box then 5 height 10 option deck string from yes string from maybe string no rock that semicolon box button with 5 height and full string okay good you're good. Oh. Colon. What else? Back to this is in what am I doing wrong? Is it you? Yes, it was you. Okay, yeah. Weird that it made that whole thing fail, but yeah. Ah. Then we could have like Run. Run. Ah, no. What did I do wrong? Oh, wait. Question? Good. Yeah, you've got a debug printer. Try that. Yep. Drawing select box, yep. Yep. Yay! Woo! Much better. Didn't know someone might add select box type, but our screen impl was able to operate on the new type and draw it because select box impls draw. Yay! This concept of being concerned only with the message's value responds to rather than the value's concrete type is similar to the concept of duck typing. Walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, then it must be a duck. Ah. That reminds me of one of the weirdest accusations I've ever had levied against me. That's a fun one. Ah, boy. Yeah, yeah. Back when I, like, moderated the Fabric Discord, someone accused me of being a transphobe for saying that, like, what we determine as hack mods follows the duck rule, like the duck rule of, like, if it feels like a hack, we don't want it here. Like, someone called me a transphobe for saying that because apparently they'd never heard of it outside of, like, transphobes using it as a buzzword, but yeah, like, or transphobes using it as a dog whistle, but, like, what? That was like a really weird thing, God. Yeah. Implementation of run on screen doesn't need to know what the concrete type of each comp is. It doesn't check whether the component is an instance of a button or select box. Doesn't care and calls draw, yeah. Yeah, it was really weird. Fabric was a time. I think that person might have, like, joined the Quilt Discord again recently. I don't know. Yeah. Fun times. Doesn't need to know it. Fabric's a pretty good mod loader, at least. It's got some, like, I'd say, like, Fabric's pretty alright, yeah. I have opinions on Fabric being, I have opinions. It's better than Forge, but oh my god, I can't wait for Quilt. Oh my god, I can't wait for Quilt. Aurora's implementing, like, the recipe APIs. Never interacted with community, saw there's constantly a bunch of drama. Yeah. I was there for, almost all of it as, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happened. Yeah, yeah. Fun things. Yeah. Yeah, like, I was, like, a moderator of the Fabric Discord for a while, and then did some other stuff. Generally, I use exclusive Fabric to just extend MC data gens, yeah. Oh, god, data gens. Apparently, Quilt is working on, like, some more built-in data gen stuff, and I'm excited for that. Actually take a look at what's been going on with, like, Quilt toolchain wise, because there's some exciting things coming with QSL if they can get through. Yeah. Right, beep beep. Yeah, yeah, recently changed my mining project to use quill mappings along with much mapping patchwork, yeah. Yeah, quill mappings are good! Yeah, fun things with Quilt, yeah, like, honestly, if all we ever, like, if Quilt, like, collapsed today, the whole product just went completely silent, like, as it is right now, I still think it'd have been worth it. Like, Quilt Flower. Holy shit, Quilt Flower. Oh my god, Quilt Flower. Just, oh my god. Like, just so... It's just so interesting. Quilt Flower is just so cool. I have so much respect for everyone involved with Quilt Flower. It's just wow. Quilt Flower looks nice, but can't get it to not crash in IntelliJ. Yeah, it's still got some issues. If you are having issues with it, like, the folks who helped write it would be more than happy to, like, debug if you, like, hop in the Quilt Toolchain Discord. But yeah, it's just really cool to, like, have it at all. Right, so, advantage using trait objects to write code similar to duck typing. Never have to check whether value implements a particular method at runtime, or worry about getting errors if value doesn't implement a method, but we call it anyway. Getting errors if value doesn't implement a method, or no, I read that already. Rust won't compile if values don't impl traits. So yeah, could, like, do this crime of box new string I. Yeah, that is illegal. Doesn't implement draw, but you know, we could impl draw for string, for example. Yeah. So yay, type safety. Yep. Error lets us know we're either passing something to screen we didn't mean to and should pass a different type, or we should impl draw on string so string's able to call draw on it. Yeah, I like type classes, like, the ability to implement your own, like, traits, or, yeah, I like trait classes and type classes and such, but, like, yeah, they're good. Like, being able to implement your own traits on someone else's code is a godsend. Oh, the world if Java had that. The world if Java had that. Yeah, yeah. I am very excited for stuff like that, but yeah. Just ended up using some bash scripts I found online to generate source files because it didn't need a full dev, and traits and Rust are so nice. Extension traits make things so nice. Things like iter tools, extend iterators, yeah. Yeah. They're very cool. Object safety is required for trait objects. You can only make object-safe traits into trait objects. Complex rules govern all the properties that make a trait object safe, but in practice, only two rules are relevant. Trait is object safe if all the methods defined in the trait have the following properties. Return type isn't self, and there are no generic type params. Those are some catches, yeah. Self keyword is alias for the type we're implementing traits or methods on. Once you use trait object, Rust no longer knows the concrete type that's implementing the trait, so self can't work. Yep, makes sense. Trait returns concrete self, but trait object forgets what self is. No way you can use the original concrete type yet. That's an issue. Same is true of generic type params that are filled in with concrete type params when traits used. Concrete types become part of the type that implements trait. When type is forgotten through the use of trait object, no way to know what types to fill the generic params in, yeah. Generic parameter restriction has come in to bite me so many times. There should, yeah, like, that feels like the one bite to this is just like, you can't mix, trait objects and generics. Yeah. Example of trait whose methods are not object safe is clone. Signature for clone looks like this, yep. String implements clone, we can call the clone method on an instance of string and get back to string, yep. We call clone on vect, we get back vect. Sign of clone needs to know what type will stand in for self, yeah. Compiler indicate when you're trying to do something that violates the rules of object safety. Yep, so, yeah, we can't boxed in clone, for example, because that's not trait safe, or object safe. Generic parameters. Yeah, oh, read that, but yeah. Yeah. I think that's like, yeah, I think that's acceptable. It's like, if you have like a trade object, you can't like have a generic on top of it, but yeah. Can't use the trade as a trade object in this way. If you're interested in more details, check RFC 255. Okay. Yep, Yep. So, object safe must meet, yeah. Require self-sized or meet all the following. Alright, so self-sized, okay. We'll learn about size later, but yeah. Must not have any type parameters yet. Must have receiver that has types, yeah. Must have receiver as type self or which dereferences to self. This self and self and mute self or self box self, but eventually should extend to like RC self and so forth, yep. Must not use self, yep. Yeah, yeah, that means, you can't deref to something else. Like, you can't use anster with, yeah, with, like, object methods. Makes sense. Yeah, it has to, yep. Yep, in future we'll allow arbitrary types to receiver self may only be used for the type of the receiver and only where we allow size question types. Okay, yeah. Yep. Object safe if all of its methods are object safe and trait does not require self-size. Okay. Okay, yeah. Trait can be object safe even if some of the methods use features that are not supported. True in code that attempted to use those features would only work if self-sized. This is why all methods that require self-sized are exempt from typical rules. Okay. Also, why by-value self methods are permitted, since currently one cannot invoke pass an unsized type by value, though we consider that a useful extension. Okay. Yep. Forbids some. Yeah, this forbids some previous legal code, but yeah. Yeah, so this isn't yeah. So that's not object safe. Okay, yeah. So you would need to split that. Okay. But yeah. Next up, implementing an object-oriented design pattern. Hooray! States! Woo! Using the state pattern means when the business requirements of the program change, won't need to change the code of the value holding the state or the code that uses the value. Yep. Represented by a set of state objects, the value's behavior changes based on the internal state. Hooray! Statefulness! State objects share functionality. You use structs and traits rather than objects and inheritance. Yep. Each state object is responsible for its own behavior and for governing when it should change into another state. The value that holds a state object knows nothing about the different behavior of the states or when to transition between states. Alright. Yeah. Alright. We'll implement a blog post workflow in an incremental way. Blog's final functionality will start as empty draft. One draft is done, review post requested. Only one post approved gets published. Only published blog posts return content to print, so unapproved posts can't accidentally be published. Okay. Let's get going. Just gonna, yeah, just gonna, like, clean all this up, so yeah. Right. So blog post. So I'm just gonna like make that blog rs. And, that's what I need, right? Am I forgetting? Yeah, I should put that in to like clear up some. Oh yeah, I guess this isn't right. Oh yeah, no, it would be Rust hello. Yeah. Oh. Good girl programming. Hello, Nikki. Hello, Hello, Mossy Gray Slope. Welcome to the stream. I'm forgetting how, like, Rust modules and packaging and everything work. Factors and traits. Just clicking through this real quick so I remember. So yeah, yep. Think you can use crate as the top? Yeah. Just double checking it. Crate root. Yeah. You're implementing modules from your own crate. Yeah. You need to find the module with mod. Right. Yeah. Log. Post. Pub mod. Right. Publicity rule. I think it was publicity rules, yeah? Fuck it. I'm just gonna throw this into librs. I won't use another file. When I'm not, like, excessively worried about, like, just doing it all in one project, this won't be as nearly as much of an issue. Because, like, yeah, there. Now, is using crate? No, because I'm in I'm in my binary, so how to use Rust. Oh, there, yeah. Of course, this would just be like in its own like project with namespace blogger, but yeah. Block files implicitly module. Oh, right, yeah, implicitly modules, yeah. I think it was just had to make it. All right, so log rs. I think I did, obstruct post. I don't know, it's fine, yeah. I am doing just some, yeah, like, I am not doing things as intended, so I'll just, yeah. Won't be an issue later, but yeah, this is gonna have some issues now, so let mute, post, post, new, post, add, text, I ate, salad, lunch, okay, assert, ec, post, content, yeah. Blog follows implicitly module, yep. Oh wait, main and lib are different crates after you use crate name, yeah. That's what the issue was, because like main and lib are different crates and I'm doing in main, so it would just have to be Rust hello no matter what, but yeah. I can just keep it in librs for now, because like, it would be just in librs anyway, yeah, exactly, so yeah. Just because, like, it's expecting that you're in, like, a project named blog, which I'm not, because I don't want to have to deal with creating new projects while I'm streaming this and have to, like, do file system stuff, but yeah. And post, request, review, assert, ec, post, approved, assert, ec, I ate a salad for lunch today, post content. Alright, so this is all highly illegal because none of that exists, so we'll post. Yeah. Rust module system always fails out of my memory 4 hours after I last touched it. Yeah, it falls out of my memory, yeah. It is like, you know, like, I am definitely gonna wrap my head around it, just like, I've used so many, like, module systems, like, it's better than Python's, is what I can say. Yep, so yeah. Allow user to create a new draft blog post with post new, yep. Allow the text to be added to the blog post while it's in the draft state, yep. For approval, nothing should happen because it's still a draft. Content is only populated once it's approved, all the way down. Can't approve it without requesting review. Yep. When the post receives approval, should get published. Yep. Only type we're interacting with from the crate is post. Type will use the state pattern and hold a value that'll be in one of 3 state objects, preventing various states post can be in. Draft waiting for review or publish. Yeah. I just have each file be its own module and don't get any more complicated than that. Yeah. That's what I should do here, just like... No, I'm actually gonna, like, not do, like, the PubMod blog. I'm just gonna, like, use Rust Hello instead. Just because, like, that's the project. Now you're fine, yay. Really similar to Python's success, you also have explicit modules, yeah. It's similar to Python's, but it is just a lot better. Like, I think the main issue with Python is that, like, with Python, I've just had a fucking nightmare, like, getting things, like, namespaced correctly, like, for, like, both development and production environments. It's been hell. Yeah, just with, like, my last Python project, I was probably doing something wrong, but it should not let you do something wrong for something like that, so Rust is a lot better with it, by having, like, the separation between, like, lib and binary and everything. So, in your, like, main thing that you're sending to people, you are always going to be referencing it just like someone would in dev. Yay. Yep. Also, users can't make a mistake with states like publishing a post for it. Yep. Changing from one state to another will be managed internally. Hooray, state machines! Let's get started on the implementation of library. Now we need a public post, hold content, yeah. Let's, so pubstruct post, state, option, box, in, state. Interesting that it is gonna be a box here, but yeah. We'll figure that out, but yeah. Oh wait, yeah, right, because state's gonna be a trait, okay. And content string. Then pub new post. Post. Oh. Some. Oh. Box. New draft. And content, we'll just do, and we'll make a trait state, empty for now, struct draft, empty for now, impl state for draft, comma. Alright. There. State trait defines behavior shared by different post states, and the draft, pending review, and published states will all implement state trait. Yep. For now, trait doesn't have any methods, and we'll start by defining draft just because state we want a post to start in, so yeah. Yeah, we'll define, like, everything like, yeah. Alright. Yep. Kind of odd they've made a state trait, not a boring enum, yeah. This is, like, the section in the book for, like, just to know, I am in, the, object-oriented chapter, so, like, we're talking about, like, states and stuff like that. Yeah, like, states and trait objects and stuff, so it is using those features, yeah. Trait is the more typical OO way to do it, though enum's generally better, yeah. For Rust, it would be a lot more idiomatic to do an enum, but this is trying to talk about, like, making a state machine in Rust, because there are some situations in which you'd want that over an enum or such. Right, yep. State defines the behavior, yep. You publish, yep. Set state to a sum value, holds a box. This box points to a new instance of the draft struct. It ensures whenever we create a new instance of post, it'll start out as a draft. This state is private, no way to create a post in any other state. Yet. Trait is better if you want users to define extensions, yeah. Extensibility you want traits, and yeah, non-extensibility you want enums. But yeah. Alright. Yep. Nowhere to create and post new, set content to a new field or to a new empty string. Yep. So want to be able to call a method named add text and pass it a string slice, then add it to the text content of the blog post. Implement this as a method rather than exposing the content field as pub. So, pub fun add text in self text self content push text. Yay! Yep. Takes a mutable reference to self because we're going to be mutating, yep. Then I'll push stir on the string, pass in the text argument, yep. Doesn't depend on the state the post is in, so it's not part of the state pattern. Add text doesn't interact with state at all, is part of behavior we want to support. Okay, So then, in this we're going to want pub fun content and self and stir. Just an empty string, yep. Even after we've called add text and added some content to our post, we don't want the content method to return an empty string slice because post is still in draft. Now let's implement context with simplest thing that'll fulfill that. Yep, always just return a slice. Change this later once we implement the ability to change a post state so it can be published. Post can only be in draft, so post content should always be empty. Yep. Alright. Now, time to stuff, so now we can pub then request do and mute self if let some s self state take self state some s request do. Alright, then we've got some things, so take is, let me just say, takes the value out of the option, leaving a none in its place. Ah, I see. Alright, so got it? Yep, so if you take a none, it'll just still be none. Okay, yeah. Got it. Neat. I'll keep that in mind, yeah. Type that correctly. Things I wish more languages had dynamic enums, yeah. Dynamic enums would be really cool. I found myself wishing I could make them using proc macros a lot. Yeah, dynamic enums are a cool thing. They would help a lot of stuff, but yeah. Yeah, that is, I think that's kind of what like the state stuff is meant to be like, but yeah. Right, yeah, so now in state we're going to want to add fun request to self box self to box in state. Yeah, no like empty parameters, yeah. So now we can, is there like a quick fix button? Not all 10. Control period. Implementing. I should. I kind of want to like redo some of my keybinds. Yeah. Box. New. Cube. And. Truck. 2. Simple state for 2. Request do self box self box state self. Good. Right. Oh wait, no, that's the what's the one again? Yeah, find myself disliking, oh, at least JavaScript more, so I use Rust more, yeah. I'm just curmudgeon and don't like OS, so I want more features for extensibility that doesn't rely on inheritance. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Yeah, I can live with Java style OO. Like, I am very agreeable, I've found. Oh, Control K, Control S. Okay, so go to definition. Should be what's that down to? Sidebar visibility. Don't actually care about the sidebar, so I'm just gonna get that. So Control B, enter, and you should be Alt enter. Oh no, what has... Oh no, there's... I don't use notebooks, so, or open breakpoint to side, oh boy. I'll fix that later if I need to, like, use bug stuff, but yeah, that's one breakpoint's focused, okay. Yeah, yep, that should be fine. I'm glad that it has, like, semantic keybinds, that's good, but yeah. Also found the more I use Rust, the less I like using any other language, yeah. Generics tend to, yeah. Yeah, I'm, like, pretty flexible with languages as long as it's not, like, abhorrent. Like, I can't use JavaScript, but, like, I can use Java fine, I can use Python fine, I think I'll be able to use Rust fine. Yep, so give post a public method name request review, that'll take a mutable ref to self. Ada's playing the New Horizon game in the background and is having a time. Yep. Give post method name request review, take immutable self, yep. Yeah, then we've got the state stuff, so yeah. Now, this is like the interesting thing with like the state pattern is that instead of using an enum for this, and like having to, and just using pattern matching for it, now like, different versions, now the different implementations of draft will hold their behavior themselves. Yeah. Which makes it easier to extend instead of having to break out a new branch in pattern matching. Yep. Yep. Yeah, we have self-box. Self means only valid when called on a box holding the type, yep. Which I think is interesting, like, that's cool, yep. Takes ownership of box self, invalidating the old state so the state value of the post can transform into the new state. Yay. I like C best, but y'all basically know that, yeah. Just really don't like using Java C because of how programs are structured. I also don't like Python syntax and never learned Python anyway, yeah. Python syntax is, like, nice. Yeah, like, it is nice not having to worry about, yeah, like, Python syntax is really good if you have an IDE. But, yeah, it can be a bit to get used to, yeah. It's the best if you really care about, like, low-level, like, precise control, but I'm a bit more of a high-level dev, and, like, I mentioned it, like, before, but, like, just, I think it's interesting how, like, Rust is, Rust was made for, like, Rust was intended for, like, low-level devs who want to write code safer, but it's ended up being for high-level devs who want to write code, yeah, who want to write code that runs faster. Yeah, which I think is really interesting. Yep. Yeah, just making sure I've got all this, yep. Yep, so impl save, impl pending review, yep, alright. Added request review to state trait. All types of implement trait will now need to impl request review. Yep. Box self, yep. Syntax takes ownership of box self and validating old cache so valid can transform, yep. Hating learning C from a college class, so annoying coming from Rust because compiler won't help me and the debugging experience is so annoying, yeah. I think, like, if there were, like, I would really like to see, like, a C compiler and, like, C compiler and debugger that are friendlier, kind of like the Rust side, but yeah. Yep, request review needs to take ownership. This is where the option in the state field of post, yep. Call the take method to take some value out of the state and leave a none, because Rust doesn't let us have unpopulated fields and structs. This lets us move the state value out of post rather than borrowing it. Then we'll set the post state value to the result of this op. That's neat, yeah. Need to set state to none, rather than setting it directly with code to get ownership of state, yep. This ensures post can't use the old state after we've transformed it into a new state. That's neat. Just don't like how I can tell the C was not designed for modern systems. Yeah. I think having, like, a friendly C compiler would be neat. Like, I might look into that sometime. But, this is also my first language and I'm built enough muscle memory to know what I'm doing there. Yeah, that is, like, generally what happens with a lot of folks is, like, their favorite languages are, like, the ones they learned first. But, yeah. Request review needs to return a new boxed instance of a new pending review, which represents the state when post is waiting for review. Pending review also implements request review but doesn't do any transformations. Rather, it returns itself because when we request a new review on a post already in pending review, it should stay in pending review. Now we can start seeing the advantages of the state pattern. Request review method on post is the same no matter its state value. Each state is responsible for its own rules. Yeah, it was designed for systems when no one knew what a system would look like in 5 years. Yeah, that's the case. Why do I hate C# so much? Yes, C#, Microsoft Java. Microsoft Java has, like, some issues. It's, like, it's mature, it's competent, but it's got some issues. C#, yeah. Yeah, C#'s pretty good, yeah. If you're a non-programmer, you're not gonna like Java or C# or such, just because they got a lot of boilerplate. Much better than Java, in my opinion, yeah. I don't know enough C# to, like, know, like, many differences between them. Yeah, yeah, I know that C# has, like, structs, like, structs, but yeah. I know literally nothing about C# except from, like, 20 minutes of using Unity, yeah. Yep. With content method on post as is, returning an empty string slice, we can now have a post in pending review as well in draft, but want the same behavior in pending review. Yep, now works up to line 10. Woo! Right. Yeah. C# has some really good reflection features, yeah. Oh boy, yeah. Java reflection is C# was the only language I could learn as a college course locally, and the teacher gave us an impossible curriculum, yeah. My college course has gone for teaching us Python, Java straight into C99. Oh boy. Have fun. Yeah, I've, like, taken a couple, like, programming courses at college, but, like, I've learned most of my programming on my own. Like, I found college courses are kind of, like, the fucking worst for teaching programming. Like, they're just not good. It's a lot easier to, like, learn on your own, especially when there's, like, amazing documentation like this. Adding a proof that changes the behavior of content. Yep. My college was C and MIPS assembly to C++ and x86 assembly. Yep. Never taught us anything higher level fun. Yeah. Adding a proof changes the behavior of content. Yep. So I had to, in order to get enough credits to apply for Art Institute's game dev program, then the fucking school oh, that blows! Yeah, I do want to, like, properly learn game dev sometime, because I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing with any of my projects. Like, I mostly get what I'm doing with, like, Soul and Silicon, because, like, that's in a builder, but, like, I have no idea what I'm doing at all for Project Deicide, and I haven't even started thinking about what the fuck I'm doing for Uplink. Yep, so now in post we have function and self let some s self state take self state equals S groove. There. Yeah. Yep. School in general is really bad at teaching. Yeah, Art Institute. Yeah. Yeah, Art Institute was a huge scam, sadly, but yeah. School in general is really bad at teaching programming, says the person who wants to teach programming. Well, yeah. You know, I want to see what I've had as past professor. Yeah, the people I've had as past as professors teach ASM. Yeah, I want to learn ASM sometime. I think that'd be really interesting. Alright, so now we can. Yep. And a self box self box state save you I don't like how it has to, like, how you have to manually save to get that to pop up in VS Code. I might, yeah, is there some way to do that better? Yeah. Did a project with Easy 80 ASM, the 1TI-84 calculus, and pretty fun, yeah. Cynthia's theme is in your mixtape. Hey, yep. Personally find that schools can't teach programming well, it's just most CS programs teach on the absolute wrong fundamentals, yeah. I think it's a lot, yeah, I've just had some difficult times with that, but yeah. Self, and this will be box new published. Yeah, then product published. Full state for published. Then save, alt enter, implement. Yep. Self. There. My experiences with the university programming courses varied wildly, yeah. Rather learned what not to do than never learned at all, yeah. On shuffle, yeah. Oh yeah, it just went straight Cynthia's theme to Battle Champion fun. Yeah, there. Now that's there. Then to request review of call approve will have no effect, it'll return self. Will only call approve on pending review, returns a new boxed instance of published, yep. See state trait for both request review method and approve method returns itself because post should stay in published state in both those cases, yep. Now this will be an issue for a second, so yeah, content should be, self state as ref unwrap content self. Alright, so now we need to import content. So yeah, yep. Goal is to keep all these rules inside the structure impl. We call content method on the valid state and pass the post instance of arg. Yep. Then we return the value that's returned from using content method on the state value. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, my current programming course has just been lectures of random C contents and then homework of using GDB to fix a broken program. Oh boy, yeah. My experience with university and programming courses have varied wildly. Some professors have been great, some were terrible, yeah. Facility fired the great ones. Yep. Didn't even use GDB. Used Visual Studio for debugging, yeah. You're expected to use fucking Vi? Like, Vi. Not even Vim. Vi. Like, is that horrible? Yeah, like, I don't think there's inherently a problem. Yeah. Yeah, like, I think, yeah, there is, like, an issue with, like, I think that you should not require, yeah, no, or that is, or, oh yeah, no, yeah, sorry, yeah, misread, hooray, but yeah, no, that is, like, why Vi, not even fucking Vim, what the fuck, like, what the hell, oh god, that's horrible, like, if you're gonna make someone use something horrible, at least make it Vim, yeah. Let's use Vim bindings, but I still use VS Code at the very least, yeah. You know, like, yeah, again, most people in this class have programmed in Java with IntelliJ, yeah. Like, why the fuck are you using Java outside of an IDEA? Or outside of an IDE? Don't do that! Don't do that! Don't ever try to write Java outside of an IDE. Like, content prime A and self post and prime A post and prime A sure empty string. So yeah, now we don't need to implement it here or here, but then and prime A. Yeah, Professor deserves to be fired to be etched. Jumping straight into C with Vi is so bad, yeah. Yeah, amount of people have had ask me basic questions about C syntax or how to save files is too many. Yeah, like, self, post, prime A, post. Yeah, like, why? I'm just... Prime A, sure. Post, content. Yeah, like, why? You're like, I'm just so confused. Like, Vim, I could see all, like, I could almost see. Yeah, C doesn't have to mean nightmare mode. Yeah, I remember that, like, for my class in C, the professor had us use Emacs, which at least has the keybinds on screen. But like, yeah, C benefits from IDEs as well. Yeah, we were like SSHing into like a machine, so like, if we're gonna have to use some like CLI editor, and might as well be Emacs, which has like, you know, the keybinds on screen. But yeah, talked to a few other students. Most of them said this is the hardest class they've used. Yeah, that's just, I'm just so, why? Like, yeah, use VSC remote into the school server to do my homework. Yeah, yeah, you have to use, why do you have to use CLI editor? Yeah, yeah, talk to a few older, yeah, in my class, it was, you did not have to use CLI editor to work with Z. Yeah, in my class, the main reason was just for like people to, yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know entirely why, but I think it had to do with like how, like, just how like C is so variant across platforms and like GDB and everything. They wanted to have like some consistent setup, but they should have at least used CLion or something. Like, at the very least, use CLion. Even better, use VS Code. Yeah, really, isn't there? Yeah. It's a mess. Yeah. Professor doesn't use tab complete in the terminal. Don't think this guy knows anything past the 90s. Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. Default input for yeah. C's not that different across platforms. Yeah. I mean, at least like, I mean, like, I tried to like SSH in and like do stuff on my Mac, and or like I tried to like write it on my Mac and use terminal there, but like, oh Lord, GDB, don't try to use GDB on Mac. Yeah, nothing, we need lifetime annotations on this method as we discussed in chapter 10. Taking reference to a post as an argument and returning a reference to part of that post, so the lifetime of the return reference is related to the lifetime of the post. Yep. Say don't use GDB in the CLI period. Yeah, GDB sucks. Just like CLI, no, it doesn't have to be nearly as bad as it is for the class. Yeah, I would really like to just write, you know, like, someday, once I've got, like, more experience with stuff, I would love to just write, like, a friendly C compiler, like Rust level friendly. Yeah, GDB should be something that your IDE hooks into to provide a graphical debugger. Yeah. Right, yeah. And we're done. All of listing 17.1 now works. So if we run this, boom, success, yay, none of the asserts had any failures, woo. Implemented the state pattern with the rules of the blog post workflow. Logic related to the rules lives in the state objects rather than being scattered throughout post, which I think is good. Yeah. There is like an advantage to statefulness like this. Yeah. Shown that, alright, trade-offs of the state pattern. Shown that Rust is capable of implementing the OO state pattern to encapsulate the different kinds of behavior a post should have in each state. The methods on post know nothing about the various behaviors. The way we organize the code, we have to look in only one place to know the different ways a published post can behave, the implementation of a state trait on the published struct. Yep. If we were to create an alternative impl that didn't use the state pattern, we might instead use match expressions, or even in the main code that checks the state of the post and changes. That'd mean we have to look in several places to understand all the implications, Also, we're also using Valgrind, which is a lot better, yeah. Using GDB CLI is so horrible, I've just been skipping using, yeah. Most of the courses at Uni had been stripped down to basically nothing. Introductory Python or fill in the gaps, programming, and Eclipse, yeah. The one Please SSH into the server course was the only one that expected students to actually program and resulted in a notorious failure rate, yeah. Get Visual Studio or VS Code, debug using that instead, yeah. Yeah, VS Code is... I have issues with VS Code. I wish it wasn't, like, running Chrome, but it works. It definitely works, and that is, like, something I can't say for CLI. Like... God. Fucking CLI. Yep. Alright, so... Yeah, how's VS Code for Rust? The Rust Analyzer plugin on VS Code is really good. Like, I've got these little run or debug buttons. Like, I can pull up any program in debug mode just with a click. Boom. Yeah, like, stuff like that. It is very nice. Yeah, like, just being able to just do that is good. Yeah, only time I didn't use VSC's IntelliJ for Java, yeah. VSC is nice because it works with pretty much all languages with extensions, so you can just keep your keybinds, yeah. I mean, it's important to get used to CLI in general, but that doesn't mean GDB or VI. You know, GDB or VI, yeah. Exactly. Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm not sure how to actually set a breakpoint, but yeah. Yeah, no, this is, like, it is, like, VS Code is very good for Rust, yeah. Like, integrated debugging and everything, it's great. Really good. Biggest issues to Rust Analyzer is slow, yeah, though it is getting better, yeah. Yeah, implementation of the state pattern is easy to extend and add more functionality. See the simplicity of maintaining code that uses state pattern, try a few of these suggestions, yeah. Now I can, struct rejected, yep. Yeah, I can, like, have a reject method, so let's put that on, yep. Unreject, self, box, self, to, box, state, and full state rejected. Up. Yeah, boop. Then self. Then box. New, published, self, 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 self. Then I can pub and reject self if let sum s self state take self state equals s reject. Boom. Yeah. Editing in get what used to navigating your native CLI, yeah. There's a lot of talk going on. Let me check. I mean, I use Windows CLI all the time as game dev, yeah. VS Code's best editor for most odd languages that don't have a bespoke IDE, yeah. Either way, get used to navigating your CLI. Editing is usually unnecessary, and debugging it is wholly unnecessary. Yeah. Everyone I've talked to in this class thinks the command line is some magic thing when it's really just not. Yeah. There need to be there need to be friendlier command lines. Like, I would fucking love to make a CLI or a terminal or a kernel or such that, like, takes OS keystrokes for copy and paste, has proper mouse support, all that jazz. I would like that. I think it would be good and accessible, and I think is pretty necessary. But yeah. Yeah, check out CMD or Yeah. CLI/UX is an entire field of study that just doesn't exist for some reason, yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Software package created pure frustration for the absence of nice console emulators, yep. Yeah, I want something like that can like, yeah. This is for Windows, yeah. I've been using Omazish for a while. It's pretty nice for Linux, yeah. Yeah, this is like a good terminal emulator, but like, yep. Got these, but like, I want something that's like more like multi-platform and such, but yeah. Of course, there's also stuff like raster graphics and everything that'd be nice, but yeah. Not an emulator. Oh, portable console emulator, yeah. Yeah, I am on the same... It is saying console emulator here, but yeah. Yeah, like... Yeah, from what I've seen, the new Windows Terminal is decent. Yeah, new Windows Terminal is pretty alright, but yeah. Yeah, there are some things that I think I would enjoy in a terminal. And I might try them sometime, but yeah. Not the same as what you mean, though. Ah! Yeah. Alright, but yeah. Require 2 calls to approve before state can be changed to publish, yep. Yeah. Emulator, because all consoles on Windows are technically emulators, yep. Yep, and allow users to add text content only when post is in draft. Have the state object responsible for what might change about it, change about the content, not responsible for modifying the post, yep. Yeah, lots of stuff you can do here. One downside of the state pattern is because the states implement the transitions between states, some of the states are coupled to each other. If we add another state between pending review and published, such as scheduled, we would have to change the code in pending review to transition to scheduled instead. It would be less work if pending review didn't need to change with the addition of a new state, but that would mean switching to another design pattern, yeah. FMCMD, that is an emulator because Windows kicked DOS out, yeah. Yeah. Another downside is that we've duplicated some logic. To eliminate some of the duplication, we might try to make the default implementations for the request review and improve methods on state trait that returns self. However, this would violate object safety because trait doesn't know what concrete self will be. Unless you have an actual VT100 from the 1970s, all consoles on Linux are emulators too, yeah. Windows, you can also use WSL, yeah. I guess that is, yeah. Yeah. Gotten very used to also having Sigwin installed on my Windows systems. Yeah. Alright, one other duplication includes similar impulse of request review and approve. Both methods delegate to the implementation of the same method on the value in the state field of option and set the new value of the state field to the result. If we had a lot of methods on post that followed this pattern, we might consider defining a macro to eliminate the repetition. Woo, macros! We'll see those later, but yeah. Gives me a lot of Linux functionality in my shell, yeah. There are a lot of, like, programming things I would like to experiment with sometime, but yeah. By implementing state pattern as defined for OO-langs, we're not taking full advantage of Rust strengths as we could. Let's look at some changes we could make to blog that could make invalid states and transitions file time errors. Yeah, yep, encoding states and behavior as types. We'll show you how to rethink the state pattern to get a different set of trade-offs. Rather than encapsulating the states and transitions completely so outside code has no knowledge, we'll encode the states into different types. Consequently, Rust type checking system will prevent attempts to use draft posts where only published posts are allowed by issuing a compiler error. Woo! Yeah, let's consider this part of main. Bip, bip, bip. We still enable the creation of new posts in the draft state by using post new and the ability to add, but instead of having a content method on a draft post that returns an empty string, make it so draft posts don't have the content method at all. That way, if we try to get a draft post content, we'll get a compiler error telling us the method doesn't exist. As a result, it'll be impossible for us to accidentally display draft post content, so yeah. We're over here, instead of doing this state stuff, I should probably take all this out, so pub struct post content string obstruct draft post content string impl post pub new draft post content and pub fun content and self and self content impl graph post pub fun add text and mute self text and self content push text. Yep. Both post and draft post structs have a private content field that stores the blog as text, blog post text. Structs no longer have the state field because removing the encoding of the state on to the types of the structs. Yep, post content will represent a published post, and it has a content method that returns the content. Self post new, but instead of returning an instance of post, returns an instance of draft post. Because content is private and there aren't any functions that return post, not possible to create an instance of post right now. Yep. Just making sure I've got all this stuff. Right, yep. Draft post has an add text, so it can add text to content as before, but note that draft post does not have a content method defined. Now the program ensures all posts start as draft posts, and draft posts don't have their content available for display. Any attempt to get around these constraints will result in a compiler error. Yep. Implementing transitions as transformations into different types. So then we can pub func s view self do pending post and view post content self content. Then we can have pub struct review post content string impl and ending post pub prove self post content self content. All right. There. Request review and approve methods take ownership of self, thus consuming the draft post and pending review post instances and transforming them into a pending review post and a published post, respectively. This way we won't have any lingering draft post instances after we've called request review on them. Yeah. Really running into the issue of Rusty being slow. My program now takes 2 minutes to compile. Not as bad as Kotlin. Pending review post struct doesn't have a content method defined, so attempting to read its content results in a compiler error as with draft post. Because the only way to get a published post instance that does have a content method defined is called approve on a pending review post. Only way to get a pending review post is called the request review method on a draft post. We've now encoded the blog post workflow into the type system. But we also have to make some small changes to main because now so now we have to do let's here, let, that won't work, yeah, and then let, post equals, yeah, that just means we have to do more reassignments, yeah. Alright, changes we need to make main to reassign post implementation doesn't quite follow OO state pattern. Transformations are no longer encapsulated. However, our gain is that invalid states are now impossible because of the type system and the type checking that happens at compile time. This ensures that certain bugs, such as the display of content of an unpublished post, will be discovered before they make it to prod. Try the task suggested for additional requirements that I mentioned at the start of section, yep. As it is after, listing 720. See what you think about the design of this version of the code. Note that some of the tasks might be completed already. Yeah. Seeing that even though Rust is capable of implementing object-oriented design patterns, other patterns are also available. These patterns have different trade-offs. Although you might be very familiar with OO patterns, rethinking the problem to take advantage of Rust features can provide benefits, such as preventing some bugs at compile time. OO patterns won't always be the best solution due to certain features like ownership that OO languages don't have. No matter whether or not you think Rust is an OO language after reading this chapter, you now know that you can use trait objects to get some OO features in Rust. Dynamic dispatch can give your code some flexibility in exchange for a bit of runtime performance. You can use this flexibility to implement OO patterns that can help your code's maintainability. Rust also has other features like ownership that OO languages don't have. An OO pattern won't always be the best way to take advantage of Rust strengths, but it is an available option. Next, we'll look at patterns, which are another of Rust features that enable lots of flexibility. We've looked at them briefly throughout the book, but we haven't seen their full capability yet. Let's go! Alright, into patterns and matching. Might actually make it to like the start of chapter 19 tonight. Ooh. Means I am getting very close to finishing up the Rust book, which, oh god, means I'll have to find something else to do on Fridays, yeah. Biggest problem with OO is nobody can even agree what OO is. Yeah, the book talked about that, it's fun, but yeah. Patterns are a special syntax in Rust for matching against the structure of types, both complex and simple. Using patterns in conjunction with match and other constructs give you more control over a program's control flow. Pattern exists of some combination of the following: literals, destructured arrays, enum structs or tuples, variables, wildcards, and placeholders. These components describe the shape of the data we're working with, which then match against values to determine whether our program has the correct data to continue running a particular piece of code. To use a pattern, we compare it to some value. If the pattern matches the value, we use the value parts in our code. Recall the match expressions in chapter 6 that use patterns, such as the coin sorting machine example. If the value fits the shape of the pattern, we can use the named pieces. If it doesn't, the code associated with the pattern won't run. This chapter is a reference on all things related to patterns. We'll cover the valid places to use patterns, differences between refutable and irrefutable patterns, and different kinds of pattern syntax that you might see. By the end of the chapter, you'll know how to use patterns to express many concepts in a clear way, okay? Let me clear everything out. There. Patterns pop up in a number of places, and you've been using them a lot without realizing it, but yeah. Yep. Section discusses all the places where patterns are valid. So we've got match arms. Yep. Match expressions are defined as keyword match, value to match on, and one or more match arms that consist of a pattern and an expression to run if value matches that arm's pattern. Right, yep, so match like that. Need to be exhaustive in the sense that all possibilities must be accounted for. One way to ensure you've covered every possibility is to have a catch-all for the last arms, like just a default branch and a switch. Particular pattern underscore will match anything, but it never binds to a variable, so it's often used in the last match arm. Underscore can be useful when you want to ignore any value not specified. Cover underscore in more detail later in the chapter. If let is pattern, so mainly it's a shorter way to write the equivalent of a match that only matches one case, okay? Just a sugar, basically. Optionally, if let can have corresponding else containing code to run if let doesn't match. So it's also possible to match if let, else if, and else if let. That'll be fun. Yeah. Doing so gives us more flexibility than match. Express only one valid to compare with patterns. If conditions in a series of if let, else if let arms aren't required to relate to each other, okay? If let and while let are great, yeah. The syntax is a bit weird, but it is like coming from other languages like Swift, so it's fine, yeah. Let favorite color option. None. Let is say equals false. Let age result to 8. Don't care. Parse. If let some color favorite color println using your favorite color as the background. Color, yeah. Up. Else if is Tuesday. Ln Tuesday is Tuesday. Else if let okay age if age over ln using purple as the background color. Else println using orange background. Else and blue as the background. Yeah. Right. I think there is one thing that I kind of wish like VS Code did is that if you've right, like the one thing I kind of wish that VS Code did is like if you've got like a bunch of like if you've got a bunch of closed parentheses in ID and such, you can just hit semicolon to like jump to the end of them and drop a semicolon, but you can't do that in VS Code. User specifies a very favorite color's background color. For today's Tuesday, background color is green. If user specifies their age as a string and we can parse it as a number successfully, colors either purple or orange, depending on the value of the number. If none of them apply, the background color is blue. Yep. Conditional structure lets us support complex requirements. With hard-coded values we have here, this example will print using purple as the background color. Yep. You can see that iflet can also introduce shadowed variables in the same way that matcharms can. The line let okay age equals age. Yep. Introduces the new shadowed age that contains the value inside okay. This means we need to place if age over 30 condition within that block. Can't combine the two conditions into let okay age equals age and then age over 30. Shadowed age we want to compare 32 isn't valid until the new scope starts within the curly bracket. Makes sense. Downside of using if let expression, compiler doesn't check exhaustiveness, whereas with match it does. We omitted the last else block and therefore mishandling some cases. The compiler would not alert us to the possible logic bug. Then there's while let. Ooh. So let mute stack equals vec new stack push 1 stack push 2 stack push 3 while let sum top stack pop println sum pop. That's a cool one. Yeah. There's an RFC to improve iflet. I'm so excited for it. Ooh, improve it how so? Yeah, improve it how so, Maddie? Yeah. Yeah, I would like to take a look at that, but yeah. Prince 3, 2, 1. Iflet chaining. Ooh. Yeah, let's take a look at this. So yeah. Iflet and extends iflet and while let with chaining allow you to combine multiple lets and bool type conditions together naturally. You'll be able to write among ooh. Oh, this is tasty. Oh, that's tasty. That is very cool. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. All right. Yeah. Wallet. Okay. Yep. Yeah. All right. I think that, yeah. Very excited for this. Yep. Want to make let pat equals expression and possible option yet. Let me. Yeah, checking. Biggest issue with Rust RFC is how long they can take to get inpulled. Yeah. That one's closed. Oh, yeah. Sometimes really makes it. Yeah, but it makes it really nice to extend language. Yeah. So here's the RFC PR. This one's merged. Yep. 53667. Tracking. Yep. Yep. This. Last word on this is. Oh, hey. Like just a couple weeks ago, but yeah. Yeah, no. RFCs are cool and neat, but yeah. Oh. Yeah, ooh. A cutie just arrived, yay! Yep, prints 3, 2, 1. Pop takes the last element out of the vector return. Yep. If the vector's empty, pop returns none. While loop, yep. As long as it returns some, yay. Yep, we can use wallet to pop every element off our stack. That's cool. And for loops, mentioned for loop is the most common loop construction, but I haven't discussed the pattern that for takes. For loop, the pattern is the value that directly follows the keyword for. So for x and y, the x is the pattern. Ooh. Alright, so yeah. Yeah. Okay. And so stack A B or x value right ln and something that takes a while. There's been an RFC to add a function to create a box with uninitialized data, which has been working safely for over a year, but it's stuck on people figuring out how to name. Oh no! No, name bike shedding. Oh boy. First. Name bike shedding is the worst. I know that pain. So, use enumerate to adapt an iterator, produce value, values index in the iterator placed into a tuple. Value, this is OA, yep. That match rhythm pattern, index value, index O value A, yep. RFCs move so slowly, especially the real important ones, yeah. Hi. I've got a cutie here, and cutie's very cute.
Hello.
I'll be done in like an hour or so. Got it?
No.
Yep. Alright. Let's only explicitly discussed using patterns with match and let, but in fact we've used patterns in other places as well, including in let statements. Consider this straightforward variable assignment with let x equals 5. That's a pattern. Yep. Let pattern equals expression. Statements like, yep. The issue is there are now like 16 different constructors for box. Fun. Yeah. It's also technically blocked on uninitialized constructors for RC and ARC, but everyone important has said they can just stabilize box and worry about RC and ARC later. Yeah. Yep. Want to complain about language updates being slow? Go ahead and look at. Oh no, C11. This revision was 12 years in the making. Yep. Fun times. Yep. C99 to, yep. Published April 2011. Draft final review. Yep. Final draft April 2011. Yep. Due to delayed availability of conforming C99. Wow. Oh, optionality. Yeah. Remember, things change was quite minimal. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Alright. Variable names just a particularly simple form of a pattern. Rust compares the expression against the pattern and assigns any names it finds, so, yep. Yes, that means you can let x, y, z equals 1, 2, 3. Alright. Then, bind what matches here to the variable x, yep. Does the name x whole pattern, yeah. That's why tuple destruction works. Look, I'm still using C99 in my class. I'm not convinced that most C programmers know other versions of C exist, yeah. Yeah, patterns need to, like, work. So, like, you can't do X, Y to 1, 2, 3. You gotta destructure it properly. Yeah. Also, that's because C tries really, really hard to not break ABI, yeah. Breaking ABI is not a good thing. Wanted to ignore one or more of the values in the tuple, we could use underscore to dot. You'll see in the ignoring values in a pattern section. If the problem is that we have too many variables in the pattern, the solution is to make the types match by removing variables so the number of variables equals the number of elements in the tuple. Function params can also be patterns, yep. So xi32, yep. Yep. Code listing in listing 18.6, which declares a function named food, takes one parameter named x. Yep, that's a pattern. Is Microsoft still stuck with C89? I'm not sure. Yeah, that's a pattern. Oh, that's... Ooh, you can... Yeah. Oh, you can do a borrowed tuple. Okay, yeah. Got it. Yep. C11 was never fully supported on all OSs, yeah. Much as I wish Rust had a stable ABI, they meant they stopped significantly changing language. I would never want it, yeah. Variable length arrays in particular is something Microsoft never owned. Yeah. Yeah, and like, at least like, Rust has like a good way to like, having like a unstable ABI is alright when you've got like an ecosystem that supports it with like, which like Cargo does. You can like, you specify the addition right here, and that saves your ABI. Yep. Code prints current location 3.5, values and 3.5 match pattern and XY, so X3 is 5, yep. Also use patterns in closures, same way as from function param lists, closures similar to functions, yep. Several ways of using patterns, but patterns don't work in the same way in every place. In some places, patterns must be irrefutable. In some other circumstances, they can be refutable. Okay. So, patterns that'll match for any possible value passed are irrefutable, so like that's like an assignment or such. X matches anything and cannot fail to match. Patterns can fail to match for some reason are refutable. Yep, so sum in if let sum is refutable because it can not be sum. Yep. If the value in a value of variable is none, it'll match. But yeah. Much voice rest or no rather variable length arrays in particular is something Microsoft never implemented. Fun. Function parameters, let statements, and for loops can only accept irrefutable patterns because the program cannot do anything meaningful when values don't match. If let and while let accept refutable and irrefutable patterns, but compiler warns against irrefutable patterns because by definition they're intended to handle possible failure. Functionality of a conditional is in its ability to perform differently depending on success or failure, so yeah. Yep, okay. Generally, you shouldn't have to worry about the distinction, however you do need to be familiar with the concept of refutability so you can respond when you see it in an error message. You'll need to change either the pattern or the construct you're using the pattern with. This is, like, let sum x option value. That is illegal, and not just because some option value doesn't, yeah. Because assignments need to be irrefutable, otherwise there's not safety. Rust guarantees no ABI ever between minor version changes on the compiler, so unless two crates were compiled with the same exact compiler version, it's expected they'll not work together. See, but yeah. Like, that's why, like, source crates are a big thing. Yeah. Alright, yep. If some option value was none, it would fail to match the pattern sum x, meaning pattern is refutable. However, let can only accept an irrefutable pattern because there's nothing valid the code can do with a none. At compile time, Rust will complain that we've tried to use a refutable pattern where an irrefutable pattern is required. Yep. Because we couldn't cover every valid value with pattern, some X Rust, produced a compiler error, Fix the problem where if a refutable pattern or an irrefutable pattern is needed, we can change the code that uses the pattern. Instead of using let, we can use if let and then have a block, but yeah. Then if the pattern doesn't match code, we'll just skip in the code in curly brackets, giving it a way to continue validly. Yay. We've given the code an out. This code is perfectly valid, although it means we cannot use an irrefutable pattern without receiving an error. Give if let a pattern that always match. Yep. It'll give a warning. Rust complains doesn't make sense because, like, it's just a waste. Yeah. Another reason why I probably will be avoiding Rust. Big fan of DLLs and shared objects. Modularity, pluginability in particular. DLLs can be, like, pretty good and helpful, but yeah. Yeah, like, instead of, like, compiling into one blob. No DLLs does make Rust work better with WASM, but yeah. Right. Yep. If we give if let a pattern that'll always match, such as X, as shown in listing 1810, compiler will warn. Rust complains doesn't make sense to use if let with an irrefutable pattern. Yep. For this reason, match arms must use refutable patterns, except for the last arm, which should match any remaining values with an irrefutable pattern. Rust allows us to use an irrefutable pattern in a match with only one arm, but this syntax isn't particularly useful and could be replaced with a simpler let statement. Yeah. Rust has, you can use them by using RepRC to just use the C API, but it is a big hassle and you're limiting what you can use. Rust has a huge hole in not really supporting plugins, yeah. Plugin features are a huge part of how I try to program. Rust makes that difficult, yeah. Best option I can think is using WASM for plugins, or just using the ABI, yeah. I think they would be nice to have, like, more plugin support in Rust, but, like, that'll probably take a lot of work, but yeah. For this reason, match arms must use refutable patterns except for the last arm, Rust allows us to use an irrefutable pattern to match with only one arm, but the syntax isn't particularly useful and could be replaced with simpler let. Now that you know where to use patterns and the difference between refutable and irrefutable patterns, let's cover all the syntax we can use to create patterns. Pattern syntax, okay, so, matching literals. So, x equals 1, and match x, 1, ln, 1, 2, 2, ln, 2, 3, ln, underscore 2. I don't, the equals, equals greater than is a weird syntax for, like, arrows. Yeah, my fingers got a cut on it and kind of works, it kind of hurts to type that right now, I'm currently making a custom MC server with no way for us to support plugins without slowing things down a ton or rewriting half our code to make it, support the C ABI. Yeah, that is, like, the issue. They do have plugin support, it'll likely require some extensive marshalling features to make it quite slow to work in, yeah. I think, yeah, like, it would be nice to have, like, cheap, it's the go-to operator, yeah. How would WASM plugins work? Would the host program end up running a JSVM? Code prints 1 because val of x is 1. Syntax is useful when you want code to take action, gets concrete value, Name variables are irrefutable patterns that match any value, and we've used many times. However, there's a complication when you use variables in match. This match starts a new scope. Variables declared as part of a pattern will shadow, Declare a variable named x to some value 5, the variable y with value 10, look at patterns, match arms, and println, try to figure out what the code will print, before running this code or reading further, I'm gonna write this out just so I have a better handle on it, so x equals sum 5, let y equal 10, match x, sum 50. Yep. Println. 50. Y. Println. Match. Y equals. Y. Underscore to. Ln. Alt. Case. X. X, and println at the end x y equals x y. Yeah, this will, alright, so this will, this block will print matched y equals 5, then it'll be x equals sum 5, y equals, see. Yep, y equals 5, then sum 5, y 10, yeah. Got it. Let's walk through what happens when it runs, yep. You can also use stuff like Lua, but that's really limiting and annoying to work into an existing program, yeah. Best option for a while was using crate that let you gather all types that input a tray at startup, but now an LMVM bug broke it. Oh no! It would be a WASM VM, not JS. Don't entirely know how it works, but IRC, it's nice if you want sandboxing, yeah. There are a lot of, like, WASM VMs and such, yeah. I know actually, like, there was, I know that, like, Hypercosm Project was planning to do, like, program runtimes with Lua and WASM, which would be interesting, but yeah. Huge issue with Unity at the moment causes IL to C++, and ahead of time compile build means it makes it much more difficult to make a game audible, yeah. Yeah, it sucks, but yeah. There should be, yeah, I would really like for Rust to have, like, plugin E support, but yeah, right now you kind of can't, like, write mods for a Rust thing in Rust. You need, like, a built-in Rust scripting language or such. Yep. And in the second match arm, introduce a new variable named y. They'll match any value inside sum, yep. In a new scope inside, this is a new, yep, this is a new y value. New y variable, not this one, so yeah, it prints 5. Yep, then 5, 10. Yep. Then this one, AI32, yeah. Now that'll print like that one, but yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yep. That compares the values of outer x and y rather than introducing a shadow variable. We'd need to use a match guard conditional instead. We'll talk about match guards later and extra conditionals with match guards. Okay. Lua to WASM sounds neat, yeah. Like, Lua WASM, yeah, interconnect is interesting. Just like, you'd need an allocator there, which is the main challenge. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so in match expressions, you can match multiple patterns using the bar syntax. Yep, single bar, yep, which means or. Following code matches the value of x, yeah, against the match terms, first of which has an or option, yep. Yep, so 1 or 2, yep, makes sense. And dot equals is, yep, so that is, yeah. So that's inclusive range of values, okay, so now let's just do an x equals 5, then we can match x, so we have 1 or 2, println 1 or 2, and 3 dot 10, 10 to println 3 through 10 bar to println something else. Right? If x is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the first arm will match. Yep. Is x more convenient? Yep. Because you can just do a straight range. Yeah. Range is only allowed with numeric values or char values because the file checks the range isn't empty at compile time. Only types for which Rust can tell if a range is empty or not, or care in numeric values. Okay, yeah. Makes sense. The solutions I've thought of are either having a program be a library and allowing a binary to register plugins at startup, or to just ignore the unstable ABI and use Rust dilibs, yeah. Yeah, you would, yeah, like... yeah, is there, like, Rust dilibs or such? Yeah. Yeah, I would, like... Yeah, I would love to, like, do research into, like, how to make, like, idiomatic, like, Rust dilibs and such, but yeah. Yeah, okay. Rust can tell that C's with him first patterns range and prints early ASCII letter, yep. Right, then there's destructuring. So yeah, we've gone over this a bit. So yeah. Need to come up with a language that has an... Really need to come up with a language that has an extensible moddable ABI, yeah. Suppose that's basically just a VM at that point. Yeah, that is basically a VM. Yeah. Go to rates variables A and B. Match values of X and Y on P. Those names of the variables in pattern don't have to match field names of the struct, but it's common to want the variable names to match field names to make it easier to remember which variables came from which fields. Because having var names to match the fields is common, and because writing let point x at x, y is y equals p contains a lot of duplication, there's shorthand for patterns that match struct fields. You only need to list the name of the struct field, and the variables created from the pattern will have the same names. Listing 1813 shows code that behaves in the same way as the code listing in 1812, but because we're using XY there, yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think it is, yep. Yeah, I think having that is very nice. Yeah, like, just writing this out, struct point X, I 32. Yep, then you can, let P equal point X, O, Y, 7. Then let point X, X, Y, P, assert X, and X, O, X, assert X, X, 7Y. Yeah, that's cool. Suppose that basically, yeah, you can use crate type equals dilib in your cargo toml to output a dilib. Yeah, yeah, that's cool. Code creates variables x and y that match x and y fields of P. Outcomes the variables x and y contain values from the P struct. You can also destructure with literal values as part of the struct pattern rather than creating variables for all the fields. Doing so allows us to test some of the fields for particular values, while creating variables to destructure the other. Yep. So match. No. Point X, Y, O. And on the x-axis at x point, I'm gonna like put, yep, okay, yeah, point x, o, y to ln on the y-axis at y point x y the on the axis up y there, something like that. First arm match any point that lies on, yep, x-axis by specifying y matches if matches literal O, yep. Then, yep, then x on O. Second arm matches any point on Y. Specifying X matches value O creates a variable Y for the value Y field. Third arm doesn't specify any literal, so it matches any other point and creates variables for both X and Y. This example, the value P matches second arm by virtue of X contains O, yep. On Y axis 7, yeah. I wish they would stabilize an ABI with a condition that's subject to change with version changes, so then we could have a way to do plugins without needing everything to be on the same compiler version. Yeah, I think that would be nice to have like semi-stable ABI, so like it's like stable within the edition or such. Okay. Yep, then destructuring enums, yay. Message, quit, to right, string, color, 2, and that message, change, color, 1, 5, match, message, quit, print and quit variant as data to structure. Edition changes, yeah. Once did get J and I working enough to run the initialization method of a fabric mod though, so so I could always fall back to that. ABI and I even layout can change between any two compiler invocations even if they're 100% identical. API even isn't even guaranteed across compiler invocations. That's something, yeah. Yeah, that feels interesting, yeah. Yep. Written up some layout guarantees, documenting pre-existing commitments proposals not yet accepted by the language. Not include any semblance of layout stability for many aggregate types without an explicit repr yet. Couldn't even get consensus among the relatively few people participating that layout of e.g. struct should be a deterministic function. Entire compilation inputs, yet some people want to be able to randomize struct layout, let alone the layout of the struct's fields. People want to be able to layout each struct differently depending on how its fields are accessed at runtime. Never guaranteed an ABI, yeah. I think that's like I think that's like kind of, I do think that like having a deterministic ABI might be nice. X, Y. Println. Move in X direction. Y. Oh. Yeah. Why are you angry? Alright, because it's not exhaustive. Then S right text and text change color RGB println change the color red another thing is that you have to like type, like if you want to go up a line you have to type through every like bit of white space. I wish that was like, with idea that'll just like instantly click up to like if I hit left here in idea, that would instantly go up to the next line, which I missed. But yeah. So yeah, now this should like do the change color one. But yeah, yep. Now I can also do like other messages and such. But yeah, for enums without any data like message quit, we can't destructure any further. We can only match on literal quit. Yep. Yep, no variable assumed. That pattern. For struct like enum variants such as message move, we can use a pattern similar to the pattern we specify to match structs. After the variant name, we place curly brackets and then list the fields with variables so we break apart the pieces in the code for this arm. Yeah, I'm sure you can get a plugin for that in VS Code. Yeah, I know you can. Like, just like I know you probably can. I just don't know what it would be. Yeah. After variant name, we place curly brackets and list fields with variables so we break apart the pieces to use in the code. Yep. Shorthand form as we did in listing 18. Yep. Not sure what it's called though, yeah. For tuples, we can just use parentheses, but yeah. Until now, all our examples have been matching structure enums that were one level deep, but we can nest them. So let's make a color RGB I32 HSV I32. Now you can just color. Now we're gonna want to change that. So yeah, and now we can color RGB, then message change color HSV S LN change the color saturation value HSV. Yay. There. Yeah, pattern of first arm, yep, so that'll match with, why did that go to box? Yeah. There, but yeah. Yep. Chain contains color RGB, pattern binds to 3 inner I32s, yep. Now I've got that for HSV2, yeah. Destructuring structs and tuples, yep. Ooh. Lots of fun stuff here. So yeah, this is let eat I I'll just pull struct x I y equals n line 10. That's legal, yay! Lots of fun, deep stuff, yeah. Then you can ignore values in a pattern, yep. You can just use underscore literally any time, so yeah. Yep. So yeah, this, like, that's nice for traits, so you, like, just, like, you can just ignore it by using underscore and it won't complain about it, but yeah. Yay! Code will completely ignore the value passed as first argument 3 and print code only uses y parameter 4, yep. Most cases, when you no longer need a particular func param, you would change the signature so it doesn't include the unused param. Ignoring a function param can be especially useful when implementing a trait you need a certain type sig, but the function body implementation doesn't care about yet. Then you can nest stuff, ooh! Yeah. And now this is a fun one where with like nested underscores. Mute setting value equals 5 value equals 10 match setting value, setting value. Some care, don't care. Println can't overwrite customize value, and just wildcard to setting value equal setting value, yep, and ln setting up setting value, boom, yay. Yep, so yeah, you can just throw this out if you only care about like the structure of it, but yeah. Yep, don't need to match on or use values, but we do need to test for the case when setting value, new setting value, or the sum variant. Print why we're not changing, it doesn't get changed yet. Then otherwise we don't care and we can just do it whenever, but yeah. You can also use underscores in multiple places within one pattern to ignore particular values like first blank, third blank, fifth, yep. That's cool. Ignoring an unused variable name by starting it with underscore, so you know, can I change you to tabs? Yeah. Let x 5, let y equal 10. Rust offers 8 ways to solve every problem, and 5 of them will turn out to be ugly as hell when you finish, yeah. Fun fact about Rust, you can implement a trait on a function pointer. Oh boy! Trait impulse get long fast, yeah. Yeah. Yep, subtle difference between only using underscore and using a name that starts with an underscore. Yep. Syntax, under X still binds, whereas underscore doesn't bind at all, yeah, so. Yep. Yeah, so like, that'll like still move, yeah. That'll still move that, but yeah. Ah! The underscore by itself doesn't ever bind. Yeah. Alright, yeah, that's interesting. Code works just fine because never bind us to anything and doesn't move. Then you can ignore remaining parts, yeah. Like, we can let origin match origin X, don't care. Yeah. Not 7. Yeah. Syntax.out will expand as many values as it needs to be, yep. Just had used it out with 2, yep. No. Oh, thank you for the hydrate, on. Oh, gonna. And stretch, yep. And of course, some wops. Yeah. So you can then, like, only cut out some parts of it and then take the last ones, which is neat. This is, yeah, must be unambiguous, though, so yeah. Yeah, that's ambiguous, because you know you want exactly the second one, so you'd underscore there, but yeah. Possible for us to determine how many values to ignore before, yep. How many to ignore after, yeah. Yep, then match guards, okay. And so that's basically match if, alright, so let num equal or match sum x less than 5 less than 5 x x, and x, and just a unit, don't care. Right. Yep, we'll print less than 5, 4, yep. When num's compared to pattern matches, sum 4 matches sum x. Match guard checks with value in x less than 5 because his first arm is selected. So, if num had been sum 10 instead, match guard and first arm would have been false because 10 is not less than 5. Rest would then go to the second arm, which would match because second arm doesn't have a match guard and therefore matches any sum variant. There's no way to express if x less than 5 within a pattern, so the match guard gives us the ability to express this logic. In it, listing 1811, we mentioned that we could use match guards to solve our pattern shadowing problem. While the new variable is created inside the pattern in the match expression instead of using variable outside of match, that new variable meant we couldn't test against the value of the outer var. Yep. Yeah. So, then we, yeah, with this, so let's put that x equals 5, y equals 10, match x 50, ln 50, n if y ln match n up to then default case x equals up x and print ln at the x up x y. There. Yep. Sounds good. Yep. Now print default case x equals sum 5. Yep. Pattern in the second arm doesn't introduce new variable y that would shadow the outer y, meaning we can use the outer y in the match guard. Yep. Yay! Match guards. Match guard if n equals y is not a pattern and therefore doesn't introduce variables. This y is the outer y rather than a new shadowed y, and we can look for a value that has the same value as the outer y by comparing n to y, alright? Use OR operation, yep. So yeah, you could do 4 or 5 or 6 if y, yep. Stuff like that, yep. If y match guard applies to 4, 5, and 6, even though it looked like y, even though it might look like if y only applies to 6, yep. They're separate things. Match condition states that arm only matches if the value of x is equal to 4, 5, or 6, and if y is true, yep. So it's more like, yep. Precedence of match guard is just like, it's got like parens here, but yeah. Precedence behavior is evident if match guard were only applied to final value, arm would have matched, program would have printed. Yes, yep. At bindings, oh boy. At operator lets us create a variable that holds a value at the same time we're testing that value to see whether it matches a pattern. Ooh. Hey. Let's see what's... Alright, so... Message... Hello... Message... Hello... D... Match message hello ID variable at the 7 and found and change some variable. Right? Makes sense, yep. I like the at there. That's cool. Message. Hello. The 12. println found in range. Message hello. Found some of ID there. Neat. Oh, and then pass in ID. Right. This was simple. We'll print found an ID in range 5. Yep, because we used the at there. Yeah. The second arm, we only have a range specified in the pattern. The code associated with the arm doesn't have a variable that contains the actual value of the ID field. Yep. ID's value could have been 10, 11, or 12, but the code that goes with the pattern doesn't know which it is because the only matched ID we didn't have and like ID variable at or whatever. Yeah. Specified a variable without a range. Do you have the last variable? Yeah. So variables can be used to check or assign. Want to assign inside a check, you've got to use at. Got it. Rust patterns are very useful in that they help distinguish between different kinds of data. When used in match expressions, Rust ensures your patterns cover every possible value or your program won't compile. Patterns and let statements and function parameters make those constructs more useful, enabling the destructuring of values into smaller parts at the same time as assigning the variables. We can create simpler, complex patterns to suit our needs. Next, for the penultimate chapter of the book, we'll look at some advanced aspects of a variety of Rust features. But we're gonna have to do that next time. It's around 8:50 and I think I need to wrap up for now, but yeah, let's save this, still need to figure out, I might try and switch to to a new chat system that doesn't wipe the chat every time I change sources with new OBS. Yeah, God. Rust is such an interesting programming language, and it's exciting to be getting close to the end of the Rust book. I've got one more chapter of advanced features, which are unsafe and fancy traits and types and functions and such and macros, and then the final project, which is the multi-threaded web server, which I'm really excited for. But yeah, I am very, very excited to get through this. Yeah, let's find someone to raid. Bitch. I'm gonna have to. Just not looking now, but yeah. Ooh, Katon's live. I should head over to them, but yeah. Yeah. We're just gonna go with our usual soft raid. Bugs. Raid. Hey, ton. Thank you for the stream. Yeah, thank you for coming on over. It's been nice having you. Yeah. Thank you all so very much for coming on over, hanging out, watching, joining in. This has been a really interesting night. Ton of really cool conversations. It's been super fun. Yeah, this is gonna be next Friday I will be finishing up the Rust book, and I'm very excited about that. Tomorrow I'm gonna be playing a cute visual novel titled Scheme with my wonderful friend Celadon. Very excited for it. Gonna be cool as hell. But yeah, when we get over to Katons, please do not hesitate to drop them a follow, because they are very cool and awesome. But yeah, I'm gonna go head off now, so why don't we get this raid started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.